Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, I am FonRath. As the title of this video says, we shall be watching some Trails of games. Yes, Trails of Games. Those of you who have been following my Trails of Cold Steel series would know that I've only played the first 2 games of that series, and those are the only 2 in a much bigger series, apparently. It has been brought to my attention that there are a lot more Trails games, or at least a lot more Trails games before the Cold Steel series that I've been playing. And apparently in the Cold Steel 3, a lot of those previous games kinda come into play. And I found this out and I was like, oh shit, I don't want to play the previous games. That's kind of cringe. You know, I don't want to play them. So, you know, I want to continue with the Trails of Cold Steel. But I was like, shit. So today, we're going to be watching recaps of the previous Trails games. I believe it's like Trails of the Sky or something, who knows? And then Trails of Azure or something, I'm not sure. We'll see. I found some videos that we're going to be watching, and before we get started, there is actually one more video that we'll be watching before those. Apparently, Trails of Cold Steel 2 has a secret ending, or like a secret scene that you can only see after your second playthrough. And apparently this scene is like very important. And apparently Trails of Cold Steel 3 assumes that you've seen this scene. Apparently. Alright, so I was watching this video. Up to this point, the video titles Cold Steel 3 assumes you've played Cold Steel 2 NG+. So essentially, apparently, he was basically talking about how there's like these black records.
Goods in the
He's talking about these, essentially you can like pick up these black records and then you take them to Thomas for deciphering. I was like, yeah, I don't really care about the black records. I'm sure there's like loads of good information in there, but like, I'm sure it'll be like somewhat summarized in the next game. I'm sure I'll understand what happened. But what's more interesting is this. So apparently this little scene right here happens right after the old schoolhouse thing, the trial at the end, apparently. So let's watch this.
My.
Indeed.
Who would have imagined even more marvelous mysteries still lurked within the old...
Like, obviously we already know that Thomas is definitely... Well, there's more to Thomas than meets the eye, as they say.
Schoolhouse. What a delight. Why, I can hardly stop myself from heading in there to take a little peek.
That might not be the best idea right now. There's no telling what could happen in there.
Yeah, I'm gonna suggest you take a hard pass on that.
Oh, come now, I was only kidding. I wouldn't dream of rushing in to steal the thrill of discovery for myself. But, all joking aside, I take it you finished reading those deciphered passages from the black records I gave you, Reen.
Huh?
Hmm? Deciphered?
Well, sure, I looked through them, but why do you ask? And what's Rosine doing here anyway?
Well...
Questions, so many questions. Please, allow me to elucidate.
What now?
What's going on?
What the fuck is
like
going
when I
on
called out
now?
to Valimar that first time.
To put it simply, I've created a partition of sorts. The 3 of us standing here within are the only ones who can even sense it. Meanwhile, those outside remain blissfully unaware of its existence.
Ooh.
I'll admit...
This is very, this is very good because... kind of familiar for me because I've kind of... let's just say I've written something similar in one of my own stories. He obviously knew that Thomas was kind of weird. Definitely knew more than he let on.
That Emma and Celine might have noticed something amiss, but it seems I've still got the touch.
Just who the hell are you? And you too, Rosine.
She's wearing
Why
like
are
a
you
nun
wearing your
outfit.
habit all of a sudden?
Is that what that's
Starting
called? A
off
habit?
with the basics, I see. Perfectly fine by me. Who the hell am I indeed? My formal ties are to the Septian Church as a member of the Gralsritter. Second among the
Septian
Dominion,
Church?
in fact. I stand at the right hand of our leader, and am known by some as the Partitioner. But you already know my real name, of course. I've never hidden
The
that.
Partitioner.
I am and shall always be Thomas Lysander.
Okay.
I'm a squire, tasked with supporting him in the execution of his duties. You could say I'm an apprentice knight of the Gralsritter.
What? Hold. What? The Gralsritter? Do they have something to do with the Congregation for the Sacraments Scarlet was talking
Oh
about?
yeah. Scarlet was part of the like church or something. And then Rean was saying like, oh, they train knights in the church or something?
That they do, Reen. We're a secret sect of the congregation, an unseen face. Our organization's existence isn't known to the wider world, nor should it be.
Our primary purpose is to gather and seal away dangerous artifacts. But every once in a blue moon, it becomes necessary to undertake covert operations like this one.
Okay.
I guess I shouldn't be surprised. To be honest, I felt like there was something off about you for a while now. You were able to decipher the Black Records for one. And your knowledge and abilities go way beyond the average instructors. But even still, I never would have guessed you were connected to something this large scale. And with all that in mind, what do you want with me? Why tell me all of this now? Have you finally decided to step out from the shadows and interfere?
That's not quite it.
Perish the thought, Reen. What happens in the old schoolhouse is out of our jurisdiction. Always has been. The way things stand brings to mind a few parallels with Liberal's Phantasma trouble, but I doubt this is nearly as dangerous. After we're done here, I'll be glad to let you tackle that on your own. Me, I'm only here for a little talk with you. After all,
Liberal's Phantasma trouble. Huh? That's interesting.
you are an awakener, possessor of a fragment of the great power. And that means we have matters to discuss. This should come as no surprise, but the trouble facing this land is far from over. Now, it may seem to have passed for now, but this peace is merely a simple respite. The most crucial moment stands silent in the wings, waiting to unfurl before us. The Chancellor never stops spinning his webs, and while he may have repelled Ouroboros for now, they will be back. Mark my words. And there's not a doubt in my mind that you'll have an important role to play in what's to come. That's why I thought it would be worthwhile to make a formal introduction and ask for your cooperation. So, what say you?
I mean, can't say that's a good idea. He doesn't know anything about you still. Why would he say
You might
yes?
want to ease him into this a little more gently. It's quite a lot to take in at once. Reen,
Tell me about
I want
it.
you to know we're not here to scare you or to make an enemy of you. We don't mean to pressure you into a response either. For now, our intent is just to remain here and keep an eye on things. So if there's ever anything you need our help with, we're here for you. Just ask and we'll do whatever we can.
Thanks, Rosine. You're right, too. This is a lot to take in at once. I'm not really
Indeed
sure
it
how to
is.
respond. I guess at the very least, I can tell you're not my enemies. But by the same token, that doesn't necessarily make you my allies either. So, no promises.
I understand completely, Ray. And for the time being, that's perfectly fine. But to return to an earlier topic, those black records you found are actually of particular interest as historical artifacts. As far as I can tell, their purpose was to record the true history of the Divine Knights. Given that recovering artifacts like those is our job, well, if you happen to find any more, do pass them along to us, would you? I'll give you transcripts of everything I can decipher, of course. Given what you've read so far, I'm sure you must be curious.
I'll give it some thought.
I mean, I can definitely see that if this scene is... If Trails of Cold Steel 3 assumes that you've seen this scene, this is, like, definitely big.
Huh? Huh? Huh?
What the? What just happened?
Huh? What?
Well,
What?
do take care, everyone. I'll be praying for you.
Of course you will.
Are you really sure that was for the best? I'm afraid you might have made him even more wary of us.
Oh, that was exactly my intent. I need him to start acting with a little greater awareness of his place in a world that's more precarious than he takes it for. That is, if we intend to unravel the mysteries of the two Septarians that once graced this hallowed land. And beyond that, the secrets
Septarians?
of the system fashioned by the witches and gnomes. The 7 Divine Knights.
Indeed.
Osborne being dead set on locking down our activity certainly doesn't help matters either. The Roaring Lion should be able to take care of Western Erebonia on his own.
The Roaring
But there's
Lion?
certainly no harm in working to strengthen our foothold on this side of the Empire as well. Our work will not be easy, Rosine. Be mindful of that.
Yes, sir. Well, if you'll excuse me, the children are waiting.
Well, I can definitely see how that scene would be very important. So, we'll start with this one. A Trails in the Sky recap. Now, I actually watched this one. That's why I was so interested in when they said, like, a liberal phantasm or something. Because apparently, we'll watch it again, but apparently, also, we're not going to be watching this in 1x speed. These are quite long, so 1.5 speed.
And later ported to the PlayStation Portable, The Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky would be the first chapter of a story so large it had to be split
Right,
into 3
Trails
games
in
during
the Sky.
development.
So apparently this, like, takes place in Liberl.
Petition. The game begins in the Kingdom of Liberl on the continent of Zemuria, where we meet a young girl named Estelle and her father Cassius brings home a wounded boy one night. The boy is defiantly angry at Cassius, but Estelle's imposing nature manages to quell him. Calming down, the boy introduces himself as Joshua, and as time passes, Cassius has adopted Joshua into his family, as both kids grow under the tutelage of Cassius. As Estelle and Joshua
Oh, by the way, also,
are now 16 years
this Cassius, I didn't realize it at first, but this Cassius is literally, the Cassius. Cassius Bright, I think. If you've seen my Trails of Cold Steel 1 playthrough, I was talking about how, when we didn't know who C was at the time, I was like, Cassius? He was strong enough to take on most of Class 7 on his own. So I was like, must be like someone really good, like as strong as Sarah, right? Because Sarah is like one of the four S ranked bracers, right? Cassius was another one. Because apparently C was strong enough to fight Sarah, I just assumed maybe it was Cassius. Obviously turned out to be Crow, right? But my point is that whole time, this is that Cassius. Cassius Bright. Apparently adoptive father of Joshua here. Father of Estelle. The main characters of this game.
such an academic made it up this monster-infested tower unscathed. He mentions the Septarians, a powerful ancient race lost 1,200 years ago.
Septarians? Where have we heard that one before? Wink wink. Thomas mentioned those, right? I didn't actually notice that before when I watched this. When Thomas said Septarians, that was the first time we've heard that, I think. Which is why I probably didn't pick up on that.
Shira shoots back, pointing out the uncooperative nature of the army has led to no results or capture the Sky Pirates either. Their fight is broken up by the carefree man from the bar, who sings them both a song that actually ends up calming down everyone. He introduces himself as Olivier, and follows the group to Bose, where they report their findings and resume their search for the missing airliner.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Can't be, right? Or rather, it has to be, right? Olivier, blonde-haired man. Looks very similar to someone we know. A bard, musician. I'm pretty sure he also played something. Very into poetry about beauty and such. And I do believe he did say about something about Liberl. Something happening in Liberl some time ago, like 2 years ago or something.
First, they travel. Waiting for his return, they encounter a peculiar, well-dressed man from Erebonia.
From Erebonia?
Yeah, that somehow instantly knows their... From Erebonia, that somehow instantly knows their bracers.
Somehow instantly knows their bracers. Ah, interesting. Very interesting, yes.
Seems to be more than a mere trap.
It's gotta be, dude.
Passed by a gruff bracer
Gotta
and
be.
added, jail. Joshua remembers what Kyle said and how it likely means there is a mole in the army. And strangely enough, Olivier is also in jail with them in the adjacent cell. The mayor of Bose helps them out after
Strangely
avoiding
enough.
the children of Cassius Bright. For as it turns out, Cassius long on the airship back though, Shara overhears Olivier on a portable phone and learns he's actually a special operative of the Erebonian Empire here to actually meet with Cassius himself. Back with Estelle and
Of course he is. It's gotta be, dude.
Joshua,
It's
their
gotta
next goal is
be.
the real professor now reveals the gospel originally came from the intelligence division, was stolen from them, and they found it again when the professor caused a blackout with it earlier, hence the kidnapping. He wants them now to take the gospel, go to the Queen and Grancel, and warn her personally of Colonel Richard's plot. Parting ways, the two groups now head off on their own, while at the same time, we see a royal guardsman escaping with clothes.
Gotta remember that there's this black orb meant called the gospel now, just in case. Kind of
And
keep
now
it in
we'll
mind.
black while the
Ah,
professor
yes,
of the Jaegers are
Jaegers,
from.
of course, of
That night, they
course.
received it. In fact, Zane is an A-rank bracer, one of only 20 in the world, though Cassius is one of the only 4 informal S ranks, dubbed the Divine Blade.
Ah, yes. The Divine Blade himself. And to think, one of the 4 S-rank bracers is our lovely Sarah herself. Oh my god, the connections.
Given the span of the Zemurian ruins, the group has a forward team and a standby base team ready.
Zemurian ruins. Ah, yes,
Estelle
of
and Joshua
course.
leaving during a break, Professor Alba conveniently greets Joshua, and Joshua directly confronts Alba on the fact that he's always been nearby, or conveniently investigating every strange incident of brainwashing or hypnotism since they first met him in the ruins, and has
He's
always had
evil.
the strangest timing with the most dangerous locations to boot. Joshua then directly asks if he's really the mastermind behind all this, and suddenly Alba's demeanor changes. He openly admits it, and with a snap of his fingers gives back all of Joshua's memories. In the shock of the sudden rush, Joshua is stunned that Alba has the power to twist minds so easily, and with his restored mind, recognizes Alba to be one of the 7 snake apostles, Weissman the Faceless. Weissman smirks,
Weissman. Right. I do believe someone in Cold Steel mentioned Weissman. I don't remember who or where or when, but like I do remember someone said Weissman. Enforcer Legion 13.
time spent together was real. She loudly confesses her love for him, looks past his bloody history, and urges him to stay with her. In response, Joshua steps in and kisses Estelle, slips a sleeping pill into her mouth, and as she gently falls, he claims he can't have her see the truly ugly side of him and what he must now do. Before she falls asleep under the starry sky, Joshua confesses his love for her since the day they met, and tells her goodbye. The next day, Joshua is already gone, but Estelle hasn't given up, packing her bags and optimistically moving forward on her new journey of bringing Joshua home, as this first chapter comes to a close.
Alright. Well, that was the first chapter, I guess. This is, up to chapter 3 or something. Part 1.
Since Cold Steel 3 relies even more.
Whoa. Hang on, I want to see this. Okay, so we've played these two. You need to see the recaps of this. Okay, I think this video now has to do with this one. I think. The second
Trails in the
Sky
Sky
game,
second
yeah.
chapter left her. She finds her father Cassius there, where he tells her about the Society of Ouroboros and how he first took Joshua in, even after the young boy. And how he first took Joshua in, even after her about the Society of Ouroboros, and how he her about the Society of Ouroboros, and 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 her about the Society of Ouroboros, her about the Society of Ouroboros, and her about the Society of Ouroboros, where he tells her about the Society of her about the Society of Ouroboros, her about the Society of Ouroboros.
Ouroboros. Ouroboros, yes. Of course, Ouroboros, yes. Of course.
Even after meets a man who claims that he is a priest, he introduces himself as Kevin, and though he flirts with Estelle at first, he
someone
begins
else
to
from the
understand how shaken
Septium
he is when she breaks
Church.
down in tears. The scene shifts to an unknown location in Liberl where some of the Ouroboros members are meeting. A figure who goes by the name of Campanella, the Ouroboros members are meeting. The Ouroboros members are meeting. Ruse to keep Cassius busy elsewhere during Colonel Richard's coup attempt.
Why does that name sound so familiar? I think Louvre might have also been mentioned.
Together with Lowe and Wiseman, they vaguely discuss some of the
Lowe? Okay.
Future plan. What looks like
Campanella.
completely decimated underground Soul Palace. Captain Schwartz leads Father Kevin to the place where the group took down the massive archaism in first chapter. Kevin's real mission seems related to
Ah.
archaism in first chapter. Archaism in first chapter. Archaism in archaism in archaism in first.
I think she means to say archaism.
Just as it seems like they're gonna have to step in, Olivier shows up on a boat playing his lute. He successfully placates the two groups somehow, and the campaigns head their separate ways. Back to the field,
Sure, dude, sure. Of course, Olivier shows up. Of course, he shows up and solves the dispute, you know? Of course he does. There's no way this is not Olivert, right? Come on.
She comes to, she, Agate, Olivier, and Chloe, along with Dorothy, head to the old schoolhouse where Estelle saw the
Dude. I told you. I'm telling you. There's no ghost. The old schoolhouse is the ghost. Okay? Jesus. It's haunting me. The fucking old school building is the goddamn ghost. It just keeps coming back.
So the team makes their way through the tunnels. They eventually reach a room where they meet one of the Society's enforcers for the first time.
Ooh, Blue Blanc. If it isn't the Blue Blanc. Oh my god, it is. Honestly, it's kind of cool seeing this. You know, seeing characters that we saw in Cold Steel and now seeing them here. Jesus.
He then summons a huge mechanized archaism that the group must defeat.
Archaism!
Somehow, but are paralyzed by one of LeBlanc's crazy abilities. Olivier gets into a ridiculous argument with LeBlanc about the nature of beauty that somehow buys enough time for Dorothy to arrive.
I mean, come on. This is Olivert, right? Isn't? I mean, straight up.
By one of LeBlanc's crazy abilities. Olivier gets into a ridiculous argument with LeBlanc about the nature.
LeBlanc and Olivert had like some sort of rivalry going on, having to do with like discussing beauty or something. This has to be like the origin of that, right?
Somehow, but are paralyzed by
it has to be.
Crazy.
Cassius thanks Olivier taking time out of his own mission to help out. I wonder who Olivier is.
Estelle, Enforcer 8 of Ouroboros.
Ooh.
He has planted some sort of Enforcer 8 of Ouroboros. Of Ouroboros. Of Ouroboros. Of Ouroboros. Of Ouroboros.
Pain!
Of Ouroboros. He has of Ouroboros.
Lady, please. Stop.
He has planted some.
Stop, please. It hurts my soul. Please. I beg of you. I beg of thee. But, Enforcer number 8. Walter, the direwolf. Crossspell issue is causing a great deal of friction again as well, and I hope this can help. Ooh, a non-aggression pact with Erebonia. Something is happening in Crossspell, and it's causing friction. Interesting, so this has to be... My biggest problem is I can't really tell the timeline. Because this has to be sometime when Olivert was here in Liberl. So this must be like maybe like 2 years before Cold Steel 1? Yeah, you see here? Crossbellians want total independence. So I'm guessing this is like before the Declaration of Independence of Crossbell. Like before they actually, before the shit happened in Crossbell. So Chancellor Osborne actually came up with the idea to make a non-aggression pact with Liberl. Interesting. Enforcer 15 of...
Parents are really just manufactured orbital puppets. Who formally introduces herself as Enforcer 15 of Ouroboros. Just manufactured 15 of Ouroboros. 15 of Ouroboros. 15 of Ouroboros. 15 of Ouroboros. 15 of Ouroboros.
There's a lot of Ouroboros members here, I've noticed. Also, does this seem familiar to you? Kind of a little girl riding on the hand of a flying robot thing? Huh?
On Potter Mater.
Very familiar. The what now?
Springs and Richard to get forward to morning and catch the night sky on Potter Mater. Night sky on Potter Mater. Night sky on Potter Mater.
A what now? A Potter Mater? The fuck is that?
Morning.
Whoa! Whoa. Of the Gralsritter of the Septian Church. That's where Thomas is from. So apparently he's a priest in the Gralsritter, the Grail Knights. I'm sure Thomas was like, I think he said like he's the right hand or something. The number 2. or something? I'm not sure.
Then Kevin heads his own
I don't
way.
remember.
The guild, and this is where part 1 of the summary for Trails in the Sky second chapter ends.
Alright, I guess we'll, move on.
Background at the repurposed liberal military base in the Nebel Valley. The Capuas were once a noble family from Erebonia before they were stripped of their title and status. Major Muller is tasked to return the Bobcat to their original creditor who authorized
Wait,
the
Major Wander? Wander? Major Wander? Isn't that guy goddamn... You know, the guy in Cold Steel? The son of, Wander Sex? Oh my god, he is. Yeah, Major Mueller. Mueller Wander. That's the, Oliver's bodyguard, right?
Who was once part of the same troop Shara was part of, now serves as Enforcer 6 of Ouroboros. The Gospel apparently...
Enforcer 6? Now, she's someone I'd like to know more about. Luciola.
Enforcer 6 of Ouroboros. The Gospel apparently has the ability to read minds, and when combined...
Oh my god. She's aware.
Enforcer 6 of Ouroboros.
She's aware. She's aware, ladies and gentlemen. She's aware. So this is Final Trails in the Sky, I think. Okay, so now, I think, if I'm not mistaken, we're on this one now. We shall see. And then we still have these two to go as well. Final Sky game, yes. Okay. Interesting, interesting. So it's like, the Septine Church is like the, in a way, like the Illuminati, right? Or like the Men in Black kind of thing, where anything ancient or like a ancient power source or artifact appears somewhere in the world, and then Septine Church just, you know, swoops in and picks it up. Why does she look so familiar? Reese. Sister Reese. She looks so familiar. I don't know why. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Who, how, dead guy. That's a dead guy right there.
Opens as they are all engulfed in a blinding white light. Kevin and Reese come to in what looks like a great stone library, but it turns out that the place is much bigger than they thought and is located in some strange other dimension.
Of course it is. It's always another dimension, isn't it?
And chapter 1 begins as they explore their surroundings.
Oh! Phantasma! Phantasma? Liberal Phantasma? Huh? Huh? Thomas says something about Liberal's Phantasma? I think we're finally figuring out what that is.
Activates the entire place, which ends up
I mean, makes sense, right? Because Thomas was also part of the Septine Church, right? So obviously, he would know. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Vital details about characters' backgrounds, as well as events for future games.
Events from future games. The Imperial Army is simply acting in the Empire's best interests, helping to stabilize our neighbors for the good of the Empire. I do find myself rather curious why intelligence division members are going to such nations with such peculiar frequency.
They continue in their exploration.
Interesting. Interesting. So when Thomas mentioned Phantasma and Liberal, wait, no, he said something about there are similarities to Phantasma and Liberal, right? So I'm guessing he was thinking about the old school the inside of the old school building being like in a different dimension, and it kind of looked similar to this.
Is trying to deceive. Joshua was in Crossbell with Estelle before being engulfed in the white light, and Muller
They're in Crossbell now. Oh, interesting. The Blade Lord of Ouroboros. Ooh. Interesting. If I'm not mistaken, which I probably am, considering I don't remember much, but like, the Blade Lord was definitely one of the... Was the Blade Lord the Steel Maiden? Could be mistaken. I could be like mixing two people together, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
And that's where we're going to end part 1 of this summary. Hope you all enjoyed it.
All right. Part 1. Let's head on to part 2, I guess. All right. This is part 2, chapter 5 to the end. I really don't know how this video is going to turn out, considering I'm probably not putting most of the stuff in these recaps in. Oh shit, this is gonna be long. This video is 55 minutes long. Holy shit. So what? Estelle and Joshua pursued Ren to Crossbell? Is that it? Interesting, interesting.
She knows only as much about Ouroboros as Joshua.
I'm guessing a lot of things are happening in Crossbell.
phantasma. This world itself was created several thousands of years ago by the Oriole and is located on the higher plane of existence. This self-organized world...
Whoa. Okay, hang on. So Oriole is like one of the Septarians that was in Liberl, right? And then there were two Septarians who in Erebonia who fought and stuff like that.
First off is Agate's old gang, and once the group heads into the old schoolhouse, they're met with none other than...
I'm telling you, this goddamn old schoolhouse. It's always an old schoolhouse. It haunts me. It's like the plague. It just threads through my body and constantly just haunts my soul.
The former becoming rather emotional, he asked Shira to please give some thought to his brazen question, everyone realizing that something big happened. Finally, Muller warns them that Erebonia is headed for turmoil and advises the rest to avoid any non-essential travel there. Everyone wishes them luck, then the prince and his closest confidant take their essential travel. Muller warns them that Erebonia is headed for turmoil and advises the rest to avoid...
Erebonia is headed for turmoil, eh? I wonder how close this is to the war in Erebonia. Well, I mean, that's the 3 Trails of the Sky games. I'm not gonna lie, the Phantasm part of the whole story was more of a self-sustained, self-contained storyline. Not many, like, big connections to Erebonia and stuff like that. I mean, Olivert was there as well, but like, you know, and we got little bits and pieces of something that might have happened. The Phantasm itself, I guess, but like, not many like big connections. It seemed more of a way to kind of say goodbye to a lot of characters in that story. Okay, so, bad news. As I started going through Trails from Zero, or like the crossspell stuff with Lloyd and stuff, as you can see, I've watched a good like 3 hours already. Apparently, my OBS was fucky, or something. There was some bug or something, and none of it was recorded. Nice. Nice. Fuck OBS, right? Am I right, boys? Am I fucking right? Fucking OBS? Fucking... Take that, you fucking OBS. Take it. I will say, though, that nothing of too much interest has been happening. Basically, we were introduced to a bunch of characters. You know, these characters... Lecter showed up quite a few times. Nothing too interesting with Lecter or anything, so I mean, it is what it is, right? Let me think. Yeah. Honestly, there weren't really that many things. There was like Garcia, the I talked about how there's this the reporter that I was talking about when we were watching the Imperial Army go into Crossspell, right? And we saw a bunch of reporters talking. And I asked the question of, why are we watching these reporters, right? Well, Grace, that reporter, that woman reporter, is in this quite a bit in this game so far. But yeah, we've been introduced to a couple of characters here and there. Also, Estelle and Joshua showed up with Rena. A couple of scenes there. You know, I made a joke of like Joshua and Estelle meeting Lloyd was like a great like hey, you know, hey, we're good people, you're good people, you know, let's be friends kind of thing. Reen's first interaction with Lloyd is yeah, quite not so friendly. But mainly like there's a couple of characters that show up like Lecter and such, you know, Estelle, Joshua, but they don't really have any like big influence. Everyone just kind of talks about like mysterious stuff that only they know, right? Some background, you know, nothing too interesting, right? And then a couple of things happen. As you can see, Lecter shows up, you know, he makes a couple of jokes here and there, you know, fucks around. You have this Kilika woman as well from Calvard, also fucking around. They go into this auction of a bunch of rich people, I guess, and evil people, and then they find this little girl in a chest called Roa or something. Kia, that's what it was. And then they go forward, blah 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 blah. basically nothing of importance really happens. There was like Temple of the Moon, some, you know, some bell was ringing and magical shit was happening, but again, nothing explained or anything. So yeah, then they go back, and basically they just kind of went around investigating all kinds of not really important stuff, you know? So far, like, nothing big has happened. Some big events, but like nothing that we really care about too much. Interesting. We did hear that Calvert had also had a string of missing children.
Sergei is finally directly
So basically, it could be that Lloyd's brother was killed by Ouroboros. Another connection, potentially. More archaisms. Interesting. So Ouroboros and the church have some sort of mutual, like, we don't mess with you, you don't mess with us kind of thing going.
There's some mastermind out there that even Joachim is unaware of, which pisses off the cult leader. Lloyd pushes his buttons.
Oh my god, I wonder who that is. Something having to do with a society, perhaps? Okay, so it's been 2 years since basically the start of Trails in the Sky, Trails Off the Sky, Trails in the Sky, Sky Trails, the Sky Trails. It's been 2 years since the Sky Trails started, right? And then up to this point, at least I think so.
Joshua Watushin's and leadership reached an all-time low. During this time, IDC President Dieter announced his candidacy as next mayor of Crossbell City. His campaign promises to uphold the ideals of Mayor McDowell.
So this is where this is what I was weirded out by, because they were talking about how, because I recognized this guy, right? But he wasn't the mayor. And then we kept hearing Mayor McDowell and stuff like that, and I was like, huh, I could have sworn this guy was the mayor. I recognized this guy from the, you know, Cold Steel newspaper. But after this, declared his candidacy for the next mayoral elections in a flash, right? Okay. I would say like that was like a kind of a slow burn, getting to know the characters game. I would say like kind of like Trails of Cold Steel 1, and I'm guessing the next game is where things like actually get going. It was kind of like a self-contained story here as well, which is interesting. Now I guess we'll just get to Trails of Azure. There is a lot to go. There's like 5 hours left to watch. Jesus Christ. I'm probably not going to be able to finish it today.
It's also the entire continent's first high-rise building, towering at 40 stories tall. The completed tower will be officially unveiled at the trade conference next month. Lloyd requests Lecter's cooperation with their investigation.
Trade conference. Trade conference. If I'm not mistaken, they keep mentioning a trade conference that's going to happen. And if I'm not mistaken, a trade conference happened in the first game of Cold Steel. The Liberation Front, the guy in the Liberation Front, G, I think it was. But I don't remember the name. Fuck, what was his name? That guy went to a trade conference to, like, kill Osborn, I guess. And then he got killed, I believe. So this is still before Trails of Cold Steel 1, I think.
Sister Rios introduces herself and informs them that she's just been transferred to the Crossbell Cathedral.
Crossbell Cathedral. Could it be that the reason Rios seemed so familiar is we went to a field study in Crossbell in the first game, right? Could be that we met Rios in the church then. It could be. And that's why she looks so familiar. I could be wrong, but I could also be right.
He's not at all surprised that his old man would go out in such a fashion. Shirley recalls how her uncle looked like he was having such...
Oh shit. This girl. Is that girl. This is that girl. This girl is that girl. In my Trails of Cold Steel 2 playthrough, Fee told us that I think right before the big fight between the two bosses of the Jaeger Corps, there was a girl about her age that wandered into the Zephyr's camp. I don't remember what she was doing, but I'm guessing because these two are Red Constellation, I'm guessing this is the girl. This is that girl, the one that Fee knows. Or, well, met anyway. Holy shit, dude. The dots are connecting. Oh my fucking god.
To end part 1. Big thing. Welcome to this next installment of the Aonokisuki
Alright.
series. We'll be and Mueller discussing important matters in his office. It looks like Class 7 is working hard, so Oliver feels he needs to match their pace. They are still unable to figure out. The scene then cuts to Prince Oliver and Mueller's place, and for the opportunity to observe the heads of state and the people surrounding them. The scene then cuts to Prince Oliver and Mueller discussing important matters in his office. It looks like Class 7 is working hard, so Oliver...
Class 7. Class 7. First mention, I think. So at this point, I think, yeah, like, I want to say maybe like halfway through the first game of Cold Steel, like in terms of timeline, or maybe like 1/3, I think. Could be, give or take. Maybe halfway, yeah.
It looks like Class 7 is working hard, so Oliver feels he needs to match their pace. They are still unable to figure out who Duke Cayenne's co-conspirator is, and the intelligence division seems to...
yes. Yeah. Duke Cayenne. Here we are. Things seem to be rolling now.
Almost immediately.
So this is the trade conference, right?
Vehicles are then seen escorting each VIP to Orcus Tower in individual private vehicles. Finally, Chairman McDowell, Mayor Croy, and Maria Bell Croy greet the high-profile international guests as paparazzi take pictures to their heart's content.
This is the trade conference, right? Maybe we'll learn what happens, because we learned that the trade conference gets attacked. Or maybe it's not what I'm thinking of. West Emuria Trade Conference.
Cal has slowly picked up on Yin's peculiar schedule and is currently working on uncovering the secret as well. Enforcer Zero pulls up the blueprints of some building, most likely the Orcus Tower, with the intention of handing it over to a certain group of people. Many citizens are watching from the department store's rooftop.
A certain group of people? Liberation Front,
Including Shizuku and
if I'm not mistaken, Fee, and I could be wrong. I could be remembering wrong. But when Fee was talking about the girl from the Red Constellation, I think the girl was following a cat, and that's why she wandered into the Zephyr's camp. And she clearly, surely here, loves cats.
Unfortunately, have to turn to serious matters at hand. The prince makes them privy to the brewing civil war in Erebonia between the reformists and nobility. It appears that the leader of the noble faction, Duke Cayenne, has sent terrorists to Crossbell with the order to assassinate the head of the reformists.
Duke Cayenne sent terrorists to Crossbell to target Chancellor Osborne during the trade conference. Yeah, at this point, the Liberation Front is targeting Osborne and so on and so forth. Reserve guard duty in the tower during the trade conference. If I'm not mistaken, when we learned of the attack on the trade conference tower, they said that, some very formidable people from Crossbell helped defend Osborne or whatnot. I think, if I'm remembering correctly. I could be wrong. So I'm guessing the attack is gonna happen and then Lloyd and them are gonna defend Osborne.
Lawyer Ian says the entire conference is going well so far since a number of the mayor's trade deals have already been agreed to. Everyone is obviously relieved to hear that, but Mr. Grimwood says the second half will be much more contentious, what with the proposals from each individual nation. Of course, Crossbell security will surely be a major topic. The non-aggression pact signed in Liberal 2 years ago eliminated some tensions, but ultimately it does little.
So, at this current time, if I'm not mistaken, no, I don't remember. I was trying to think where Class 7, at least Reen, was at this current moment. Trying to remember where they were when they heard the news of the trade conference being attacked.
The SSS is received by the Imperial Chancellor next. The intimidating man is currently enjoying the splendid view of the land below them. He comments how human society is finally reaching the great heights of the ancient civilization, and how these structures, such as a Liber Arc, are a symbol of both the foolishness and possibilities of mankind. They finally sit down, where Osborne bluntly asks them for how much longer do they think Crossbell can hold on to independence. See, the only constant in history is that no nation is immune to eventual destruction. Noel responds that they can and will do so forever, as long as there are citizens who are willing to protect this land. Osborne commends such strong will, but questions what happened.
Osborne already knows what's gonna happen, probably because, well, he's planned ahead.
Chancellor states that the CGF is a pseudo-military at best, and is a waste of Crossbell's finances, especially considering the limited power of their armaments compared to that of the Imperial armies. They should rely on Imperial troops to provide protection instead. President Rodsmith, too, suggests that the number of CGF troops be greatly reduced. In fact, the Republic can assume protection of the Tangram Gate, and the Empire can take responsibility for the Belgard Gate. The two...
In other words, they're saying that, get rid of your forces. We'll give you protection.
Chief Sergei calls Lloyd to relay a message from Commander Sonia. The CGF's radar system tasked with tracking airship movements has been completely destroyed at both gates. It's the work of the suspected terrorist groups, so they best be prepared for anything.
Oh my god, it is. It's the terrorists.
Mayor Croy has finally risen from his chair and is about to speak when Ario shouts at them all to get back. Two large airships suddenly appear in front of Orcus Tower. Heavy artillery blasts the windows, but Mayor Croy has ensured their bulletproof construction. The leaders of the different nations step towards the back of the room as their personal security rush in. The Imperial Liberation Front and Anti-Immigration League hijack the sound system to state their grievances and announce their intent.
Wait. Imperial Liberation Front. Yes.
Open, the experienced counterintelligence officers, Killica and Lecter, with Julia and Mueller as escorts, plan to head to the rooftop to disarm the planted orbital bombs that are set to bring down the entire
Things
tower.
are getting good. I'm still waiting for, what's his name? I still don't remember his name. G. Fuck, what was his name? It's on the tip of my tongue. I just can't think of it.
Mayor Croy speaks up, admitting that what he's about to say next is more than just a mere proposal. It's a true declaration of intent. Crossbell will no longer bend to the whims of larger nations. From now on, he's advocating for the complete independence of this autonomous state.
And there it is. Declaration of Independence.
A young boy, one that is familiar to the SSS, greets them from the rooftops. He finally introduces himself officially to the SSS as Enforcer Zero of Ouroboros.
Well, that was part 2. There's 2 parts left, I believe. It's good to know that at this point in the story, you know, we're kind of already running parallel to Cold Steel, you know, stuff that we already know, which is cool. I would imagine by the time Trails of Azure finishes, it's gonna be like right at like Trails of Cold Steel 2 ending. At least I think so. Should be. Right? Maybe a little earlier. I have to take a break. I've been watching these recaps for the last like 6 hours. Sheesh, you know? Alright. It is another day, and it's time to watch another recap. We should be getting pretty close. The final of the Crossbell arcs. Let's dive right in.
Chapter
indeed.
3 begins in the Society's Celestial Globe with Anguis 1, Anguis 6, and Campanella discussing the first stage of the Phantasmal Blaze plan. Campanella appears to be the only active enforcer in Crossbell, given that LeBlanc and Ren have already left, and the familiar figure from Sky SC is currently keeping a low profile. Professor Novartis questions the efficiency of allowing the enforcers to do as they please, but it's not up to them to question the Grand Master.
Anguis 7, obviously, I think being Vita, if I'm not mistaken. I don't exactly remember the details, right? And there's a lot of Anguises and enforcers, so I mean, I don't exactly remember what, you know, number everyone was. All of these events, I guess, that keep happening in this story seem to be like a prelude to something that's coming. If I were to put together all the Trails games so far, what I've seen in these recaps, it's kind of like something is approaching slowly, and things are getting more mysterious by the minute.
The Armored Knight says that they have guests, then they all turn to address the party. Lloyd asks
the Armored Knight?
And they surprisingly
Who is this? Could that be the Steel Maiden?
agree to do so. Professor Novartis is shocked that Tia was able to understand the astral code back during the trade conference hacking. He invites her into the society, but of course she straight up refuses. Arian Rod, the Steel Maiden, introduces herself next, which can
Oh my god, it is.
straight up refuses. Arian Rod, the Steel Maiden.
Arian Rod. Oh wait, she's the 7th Anguis. Which one was Vita then? But it's interesting that the Steel Maiden actually shows up here. Whoa, 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 whoa. I mean, these two just straight up look like, fuck, what was her name again? I haven't played the game in like a couple of weeks. I haven't seen her in a couple of weeks. I just forgot her name. Duvalie the Swift. That's what it was. If I think the Swift after the name, then I remember the name. I don't remember Duvalie by itself. I just remember the Swift, Duvalie the Swift. These two straight up look like Duvalie. I don't know about her, but another thing that's kind of cool is that the Red Constellation kind of plays a pretty big part.
The referendum is held 2 days after, and once all the votes are counted, the Crossbell News reports an outstanding voter turnout of 90% eligible voters participating. 70% of the vote was in favor of Crossbell's independence. A week later, the mayor announced something truly unfathomable. Despite caution from the Congress and Chairman McDowell, not to mention the lacking authority of the referendum, Mayor Dieter went ahead and officially declared the state's independence, complete with the adoption of a formal constitution and formation of a state guard. The reaction from the Empire and the Republic was harshly critical. As expected, both immediately rejected the declaration. Dieter
Yep. So at this point, this
went on to freeze the assets of the internet.
This moment, I think, was the end of Cold Steel 1, exactly, right? And at this moment, Valimar, well, actually, the Ashen Knight and the Azure Knight had just fought, and, you know, Reen had escaped, and Trista was taken over.
Both immediately rejected the declaration. Dieter went on to freeze the assets of the international body indefinitely until all have recognized Crossbell's independence. The major powers responded that they will use force if the asset freeze is not lifted immediately.
Right, and at this point, you know, Crossbell declared independence and such, and then the Imperial Army is gonna invade, and fucking Calvert is gonna also come. You're not going to be able to fight them off. And then all of a sudden, they had some sort of weapon that they annihilated Guerrilla Fortress with, right?
Their contract
So I
ended
guess
immediately.
that's like the secret weapon.
Since
Oh
it's
my
been on
god,
lockdown
is Kia the weapon?
since the animation, the bell of the Mirror Castle is ominously chiming when they arrive.
Whenever there's a bell ringing in a Trails game, that's not a good sign.
She then becomes the Septarian of Zero, apologizing to the SSS for doing this. She tells the floor she loves them before teleporting with Maria Bell to the top of Orcus Tower, where the other members of the conspiracy are already waiting. The 3 members of the society arrive as well. Arian Rod congratulates Kia on her full manifestation. Then President Novartis presents the gifts he prepared for her. 3 magnificent orbital machines descend from the skies. They are called the Ions, or God Machines, and
So yeah, I remember Lloyd when he saw Valimar in the end of Cold Steel 2, right? He said, "Is that an ion?" And so I'm guessing these are ions.
are the 3 interfaces that were created to carry out the Septarian's miracles. The professor thanks the Croys for their financial patronage that funded his Gordius-class projects. Kia then takes control of 2 of the Ions. The speedy one is sent towards the Republican forces and slices through each and every airship easily. The tanks halt when they see the wreckage falling from the clouds, then turn and fire on the Ion. It dodges all the projectiles and fires lightning-fast missiles on its own, decimating each tank. The sturdy Ion appears before the advancing Imperial tanks. Its shield
Although they are no match for Valimar, the Ashen Knight.
as it walks forward, pushing the first tank back. Its arm drill pierces through the tank's armor, then it knocks the smoldering wreckage aside. The Ion transforms and wipes out the rest of the 5th Armored Division.
Oh
with a
shit,
single
they're Transformers? Jesus.
Command at Guerrilla Fortress receives the unthinkable news that the entire squadron has been wiped out, so they make the decision to launch the railway cannons. The final white Ion's barrier stops the first missile in the air. Then this god machine completely dematerializes the second one into nothing. Finally, it disappears and reappears in front of Guerrilla Fortress in an instant. It does the unfathomable and completely removes the railway guns and entire fortress from existence. The conspiracy's reactions range from sheer shock.
Oh, so that's what happened. I thought honestly, I had no idea it was like a mech that I would have thought it was like a beam cannon that she was gonna shoot from this tower. But damn, dude, this is what really happened. Holy shit.
Does the unfathomable and completely removes the railway guns and entire fortress from existence. The conspiracy's reactions range from sheer shock to elated joy. President Dieter revels at this newfound divine power that Crossbell possesses, courtesy of the Croix clan.
So it's basically just 3 mechs that they had.
Empire and the Republic to step aside.
That was the weapon. God damn. A lot of big revelations. God damn. Okay.
Welcome to
the final part. This video is 2 hours long. Okay? Even with 2 times speed.
For the
Jesus.
finale, we will begin from right where we left off, from the unfathomable power of the Ions to the arrest of the Special Support Section. It's time to see how the Septarian of Zero plays into the fate of the newly declared independent state of Crossbell. In last chapter, Dieter proposed the Zemuria Continental Alliance, which would be led by the independent state of Crossbell itself. In the face of these Ions' powers, the Empire and Republic, along with the smaller states, had no choice but to accept Crossbell's terms. In the end, although the asset freeze was lifted, all military action was now prohibited. The Calvard Republic still plunged into an economic crisis. Acts of terrorism vastly increased in number as the Anti-Immigration League became more brazen in their activities. As for the Arabonian Empire, a bloody civil war between the Noble Alliance and the reformist faction engulfed the nation.
Yep.
Furthermore,
Bloody civil war.
news of Chancellor Osborne's assassination spread throughout the continent.
Oh
Finally,
my god, it
Ouroboros
did.
positioned themselves as allies of the Crossbellian government, though this was technically an unofficial stance. No one could stand in the way of President Dieter's ambitions. The scene cuts to the Red Constellation's warship, the Beowulf.
Now we have to wait until the big-ass fucking tree sprouts from Crossbell. And also the barrier. Maybe the barrier is already up.
Hans did everything. She had no chance
Maybe
to
not.
quench her
I'm not
bloodlust. But Lloyd saw what the Empire did. They fired those railway cannons, those weapons of mass destruction, knowing it would have killed hundreds of Crossbell citizens. Crossbell had no other choice. There was no other way.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, right?
Crossbell had no other choice.
They would have fired the railway cannons on Crossbell, but before it happened, not in retaliation, but like in retaliation of the intent to kill them instead. Very Attack on Titan-esque, you know? Before they can kill you, you kill them. I think Lelouch from Code Geass said it best. When will the war end? When somebody wins, the fighting will end.
a god that could guide humans by controlling karma due to gaining an understanding of what makes them tick. Though the Oriole, which could grant man's every desire, had the power to do so as well, it did not have the ability to do this without making errors. The Demiurgos, on the other hand, could guide humans on the right path through wisdom and discernment, without corrupting mankind in the end. However, the Septarian of Mirage's soul eventually reached its limit. In order to comprehend all of humanity's flawed nature, karma, and the irrationality of life in general, the Demiurgos had to develop human emotion. Having to essentially take on the sufferings of the world, the Demiurgos knew that eventually one day it would go berserk and end up hurting the very people it loves.
Very, very deep stuff here, not gonna lie.
Wazi finally reveals his true identity as Dominion number 9 of the Septian Church, the Azure Testament.
Oh, okay. Mr. Wazi himself is also a Dominion, eh?
Furthermore, though there are only 3 ions now, the Society will increase production and ship these beings of mass destruction all over Zemuria. Lloyd knows that he doesn't have the power to challenge the
okay, so they can create more ions. Very interesting.
territory.
Okay, so clearly we find out that the church has stealth ships.
Actually been expecting their arrival. The Society's position here is only to cooperate with the Croix clan, and the main stage for the Phantasmal Blaze plan has already moved on to Erebonia. The same reason is why the
Oh my god, it has.
church cannot spare larger forces here in Crossbelt, and it's nearly the end for Lloyd when he activates a landmine. Thank Eidos that Risha pulls him back in the nick of time. The Jaegers must have set these here to prevent the Resistance's retreat. They are greeted by sounds of heavy warfare and find the normal path blocked by barbed wire. Risha saves Lloyd from a sniper bullet as the camera...
A landmine? Is sniper bullet? Now this I remember. I believe, you know, when we were seeing Lloyd and Risha, you know, hanging out and doing their thing, Lloyd was like, "Oh, you've saved me plenty of times." You know, that there was that landmine and then there's that sniper bullet, and I was like, "Huh? Huh? Excuse me? What the fuck are you talking about?" This, ladies and gentlemen, is what they were talking about.
Meaning that the last and most powerful Spellsritter is left. Duvali the Swift can't believe what the other two were doing, falling to the party.
Duvali the Swift!
However, she won't let them step 1 foot closer to her lord. After a fierce battle, Duvali has no choice but to honor her word and leave after her defeat. Before the knight teleports away, Ellie calls out to her, asking if the Steel Maiden is who she thinks she is, but receives no answer. Ellie does not wish to confuse the party, so she drops the topic. Now the time has come to...
I feel like Duvali the Swift was, I don't know, holding back. Okay, literally there is a 0% chance that they can beat this woman.
Finally, Ellie asks the question that's been on her mind throughout the entire dungeon. Is Aryan Rod perhaps that person from the War of the Lions? The only answer she receives is that she's done a good job in noticing it. Once the Anguis is gone, everyone...
Oh? Well, she didn't confirm it. She just said, done a good job of noticing it.
Anyway, there's no time to dwell on it.
I'm sure we'll dwell on it when we get to, Goldsteel 3. If a stigma is something that's carved onto the soul, how does it just appear, you know? It's carved onto the soul, but who's doing the carving? God? Okay, so Estelle and Joshua were also at this battle.
As for Lecter's boss, Osborne foresaw everything. Each event, from Crossbell gaining a Septarian, to the Erebonian Civil War, to his own assassination.
God damn, Osborne. Jesus.
It raises its arm one last time to tell Ren goodbye, then deactivates for good. Estelle wraps Ren in her arms as the young girl cries over the death of her parent. Finally come manipulating the cult, hosting the trade conference, instigating the Crossbell raid, and even holding the referendum. Who gave him those ideas? Since Dieter ultimately showed himself unable to handle the master plan, Ian will be taking over the Azure Zero project from here. And what is this Azure Zero project? Its goal is to bring about the rebirth of the Tree of Azure, the ruler of space-time, and all causality.
Right. The Tree of Azure. We saw that tree, remember? We've definitely seen that tree.
Azure light begins glowing from the marshlands before all bear witness to an absolutely massive Azure tree springing forth. Professor Novartis...
Right, that was Vita, right?
Though Zeit can't know for sure all the powers it holds, it surely possesses the attributes of mirage, time, and space. There's probably nothing it can't do. Maria Bell then begins to explain that since Kia combines mirage, space, and time, she has gained the power to rearrange the world. She's able to alter reality so that an outcome where a major conflict occurred can be remade into a peaceful one. The party can't comprehend this, but Maria Bell says this is grand, coming from the very people who were saved by this power once before. It can't be. Those scenes they saw on the way here, and Lloyd waking up on the train to Crossbell. Reality has been altered once before, when the SSS were massacred by a demonized Joachim. Kia explains that the four were not...
Really? Well, that's interesting.
were massacred by a demonized Joachim. Kia explains that the four were not close to Estelle, Joshua, and Ren in that first timeline, so when they entered the ruins and challenged Joachim, Ren's help never came. Kia's interference made it so that the SSS were able to help Ren with her problem, and in turn, become friends with Estelle and Joshua. However, that scenario is just one small example of what the Tree of Azure is capable of. This place...
Very interesting. So the Tree of Azure essentially already rewrote history, at least once.
Amplifies Kia's powers through its link with the Septium veins. Wazi mutters that this is just like the original Primal Ground, as Maria Bell continues. Mankind wouldn't have to fear any outcome. There would be no sorrow, only happiness in the world. Man would be...
This is starting to sound very similar to the Ragnarok connection. I mean, that's the thing, right? You don't have good without bad. There is no light without dark. You don't have good times without the bad times.
Even so, he can't accept forcing everything upon Kia as the correct choice. Man never grows up by relying strictly on miracles after all. That's why they must persevere despite the pain. Lawyer Ian finally concedes defeat. He truly tried to believe that this plan wasn't all due to his personal grudge, but it looks like he was just deceiving himself. He apologizes to Lloyd, to Kia, and then finally to Maria Bell.
Just like that, Talk no Jutsu is victorious once more.
Maria Bell looks on displeased. The Septarian powers have completely disappeared from Kia. This past millennia of the Croix clan's hard work was all for nothing. They do realize that whichever side wins the Erebonian Civil War will come to invade them, right? And now that they've lost the Septarian, they'll no longer have anything to hold them back. Even if that's the future, it's one that they decided together with Kia. Maria Bell wishes them the best of luck if that's the case. Also, Ian will live if he's given proper medical treatment. As for her, she was always set on leaving Crossbell no matter what became of this incident. She will be serving in the currently vacant position of 3rd Anguis. Until the day they meet again, she will be watching
Oh my god, she will.
Then she vanishes. And so begins the epilogue. President Dieter was formally arrested, then all their foreign friends went their separate ways. Ouroboros gained new recruits and continued to advance their plans throughout the continent, and Chancellor Osborne suppressed the noble faction and emerged victorious in the Erebonian Civil War. Thus began the imperial occupation of Crossbell and their 2-year-long struggle for freedom.
Yep.
Oh my god! It's finally done!
That's what I'm saying. It's finally done. First off, I will say thank you to Lady Virgilia or Virgilia for putting these together. Thoroughly enjoyed them and a welcome sight, honestly. I would say now we have a much better idea of what we're getting into. We have a lot more characters that we know. We most likely are going to see Estelle, Joshua, Ren, Lloyd, Rishia, you know, that all of them. A lot of the Anguises, Orsers from Ouroboros, you know, Steel Maiden and such. Is that now we have a lot more information, and I'm sure, even though I've forgotten a lot of the stuff that I just saw, I have a very visual memory, so if a character that we saw in these recaps will show up in Cold Steel 3 or 4, I will most likely remember them. Ultimately, it seems like a lot of the whole Phantasmal Blades plan has to do with the Septarians, and so far, Liberal and Crossbell now, both of these major events have had to do with Septarians and their powers, with Ouroboros being kind of the facilitators. They seem to have some sort of agenda of their own, having to do with the Septarians, but I don't know. We don't know yet. I'm sure we'll find out more in Cold Steel. Hopefully. For now, I think I will bid you a farewell until we get to Cold Steel 3. I'm sure this video actually isn't that long. Probably. I probably didn't put a lot of it in. 2 entire playlists of these recaps. If you want to watch them yourself, like entirely, and not just like my opinions on them, I recommend Lady Virgilia's, I don't know. I recommend her channel, and, you know, just look through these yourself. And yeah, I mean, we definitely have a lot more information now, and I'm sure I'll get to Cold Steel 3 very soon.